Welcome to Turn Extension, a supplemental podcast for the Advanced Maneuvers YouTube channel.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Turn Extension. My name is Tony, or Polar Bear Cub on the forums.
Hey everybody, it's Kevin.
Hey everybody, it's Devin, Cutthroat Cure on the forums.
Apparently, Kevin doesn't go on the forums anymore.
I legitimately do not go on the forums anymore.
You're an awful person.
I don't go on the Warmachine forums. I don't go on the Privateer Press forums ish.
All right,
but he does frequent Warmachine and Hordes painting.
He does frequent Warmachine and Hordes painting.
I do, and then I cry at the fact that I'm not as good as those people.
All right,
his name on there is also Kevin.
He is Kevin Toedark.
I hate you.
All right, so anyway, last week we kind of discussed a little bit about, hey, we're going to try this luck or lucky whenever there's 5 weeks. So now I guess we're kind of skipping L, but before we go into U for understanding the meta, we're going to talk a little bit about some stuff that came out and some announcements that we have. So first, I'm going to hand it over to Devin. What do you got for us, man?
So one of the things I definitely wanted to talk about is that Lock and Load is in just a little bit over a month, and Advanced Maneuvers is going to be there. And much like we did for Adepticon, we're going to be doing Warmachine and Hordes Army showcases. So if you are interested in a showcase, you're more than welcome to drop us a message on our Facebook, and we will do what we can to get you set up. So that's kind of exciting. The second thing is, if you're interested in some of the new and exciting painting stuff that's coming out from Privateer Press, every Thursday currently, I think it's between 12 and 1, Dallas Kemp has been blessing us with his beautiful face, doing a live stream where he paints, been currently painting the Grimkin models. And yesterday being Thursday's cast, he actually showed us the new Trencher dog from the new CID. And he also showed us 3 brand new colors coming out in the P3 painting line, which are absolutely awesome and I'm super excited about. So if you have free time or, an hour where you can pick it up, definitely check out the Warmachine and Hordes Facebook painting page, because we've been streaming the live streams through that.
Awesome.
And that's what I got.
Kevin, you got anything for us before we get started onto the super exciting stuff of this week?
Well, it's kind of in parallel to what we're talking about, but I was actually just kind of a quick shout out to Privateer Press of thank you for running the kind of CID talk that you ran live on Facebook. That was a legit resource to listen to kind of get an understanding. You get to feel some of the passion that they have about what they're designing on, and I really, really hope that from now on, all CIDs will be started with this kind of, hey guys, we're going to talk about this over, Facebook or something like that, and give us an initial feel of what the CID. Obviously, they're not going to do it every single time they do an update on the CID, but at least that initial one would get the blood flowing on both intent and the fact that they have these passions about it and what they're looking forward to doing in the CID.
Yeah. So and actually that's kind of where we're going to jump into. So the CID came out this week. And a couple of days earlier, actually on Tuesday, we were really lucky to get some pictures of Siege2 the day beforehand, which I was so insanely excited about. Siege has been one of my favorite casters from probably whenever his book came out. So I think it was like 2008, I think, when he came out. And I want to say it was Apotheosis, because it was no, it wasn't Apotheosis. It was Superiority, I believe, is when he came out. Because he came out with Darius, Haley 2, and Striker 2. And I've always loved his character. I've loved the caster. So when we heard that Siege 2 was officially coming out, when they announced Colonel Siege and Primecast, I almost lost my mind. It's been something I've been asking for years and years and years. And though they quite didn't take any of my suggestions that I thought how he should have been, I was still pretty excited to see what the model looked like. And then the next day we got to see his rules as well as a lot of other models. Pretty much an entire Trencher theme. XC9 pretty much it is. It's an entire Trencher-centric book, which I think is really interesting. they've taken a lot of models that they've had before, like mechanics and even long gunners, and turned them into trencher mechanics and trencher long gunners, which is interesting. It adds a lot of unique things. So Devin, I know you suck and you haven't seen any of it, but Kevin, I think you at least watched the video, right?
Yeah, so I watched the video and I got read through some of the CID, but I got pretty busy at work. Shocker, my work actually wants me to work when it's work hours.
Lame.
But yeah, seriously. But before we jump into that, I have to ask from a perspective. I got two questions about this because ever since I've known you, you've been mainlining, stuff off of Siege's member, if you will. You just have a huge heart-on for him.
I do.
Is it going to be a scenario, are you going to be the type of player who's like, this is my favorite player, and I don't care if he's bad for the meta, I don't care if he's bad for the tournaments, he will always be in my two-list pairing?
So I don't know yet. And I really, really like the concept of him. I love Siege so much, and I really want that to be my way with Siege 1. So Siege 1 will most likely always be in one of my pairings. Just because I absolutely love the model. Siege 2, I really need to look at him a lot more because he's a very different caster than I feel we've gotten before. He is very, very different, I feel. His feat isn't aggressive when you first read it, but it gives models all small and medium base warrior models plus 3 inches of movement, and they automatically dig in. And that includes himself, which is awesome. So then he can walk 5 inches. Then he can spin a focus point, which I kind of hope they change because with Akados, or whoever the Kriegscaster, he can just leap for free. But Iacos. But as of right now, Brisbane has to spin a focus point to be placed 5 inches additional, and then he has a 2-inch reach on his weapon. So as of right now, on his feet turn, he has a 15-inch threat range, which is awesome.
Well, the movement did it say immune to free strikes during that? Can it be used to allow his army to disengage?
No, it is not immune to free strikes. So what it specifically reads is small and medium base friendly faction warrior models currently in Brisbane's control area immediately advance to 3 inches. After advancing, affected models gain dig in, which they clarified that they don't gain the ability to dig in, that they just actually dig in. So they all gain +4 defense. So it's an interesting feat because it's not outwardly aggressive. It doesn't, increase any of your damage. It doesn't give you any extra focus. What it does is either A, it can be used very defensively where you move your army up and they all dig in. So you say, fuck you, range.
It was small and medium, right?
Small and medium warrior model. So it does not affect warjacks.
I was more worried about, does it affect Stormlances being able to run up and then dig in? Because that would be some serious bullshit.
That would be awesome. With their little horsey hooves, just like...
Not okay, dude.
That would be awesome. But no. So, so it makes it, so you can have aggressive where you can get models up there further. And also, or it could be very defensive, or if you just have a group of people that you just want them just to dig right into the ground. And still perform, some type of other action. So that's really nice. One thing that I think is very strange about him is I feel like and it's not a bad thing, I just want to preface that, but he very much so wants both, I feel, warriors because of his feats, and he has fury, but he also wants some warjacks, and because he has Hollowed Avenger, so if models die around within this, I believe, hold on, let me make sure I'm reading this right. Oh, no, my bad. Hollowed Avenger is actually for a unit. No, sorry. It is for a Warjack. So target-friendly faction Warjack gains Righteous Vengeance. So if one or more friendly models are removed by an enemy attack within 5 inches, pretty much he can advance 3 inches and make a basic melee attack. So you want the jacks for that, and also he has Unstoppable Force, which is another thing where you want jacks. So Siege is going to want a very, very balanced list between a good amount of units and a good amount of warjacks, so you feel like you're kind of getting everything. So you can affect all this stuff. The one thing that I'm least excited about is his rocket turret. And it's a really cool little turret that you can throw on the ground. After he's done moving, he can place it on the ground within 3 inches of him. It cannot shoot the turn that he places it. and it's a stationary thing, so it can't move around with them. So it's kind of one of those where you're going to want to place it, and it's kind of going to stay still the rest of the game, so you can just shoot. So
this was the turret that we thought when the very first time we saw the image, we thought was a tank.
yes, yeah. So when we thought that was a tank, it was in fact a turret, a
It looked
medium
like
base turret.
No, the sizing of that picture in that magazine made that thing look motherfucking huge. Like, I thought that was going to be a huge base, you know?
Yeah, I thought so as well.
It was definitely an example of and again, I mentioned this last time and we never figured out what it is, but that there's a way of setting up images where objects are closer, therefore they look bigger.
That's true.
So you got your Siege, and I almost want to like dig into like when you saw the email or when you got the picture, because you were the one that actually got it.
Yes.
When you got the email, like, how long did the boner last? Did you have to call for a doctor to check it out, Viagra level? But more importantly, did it get you excited for playing the game again?
So first off, yes, boner lasted for more than 24 hours. It's very uncomfortable, and it's still, still half chub, even this far into it. And second off, yeah, I see it. It's making me excited to play. It was the one thing where I was going back and forth where I wasn't sure if, I really haven't been feeling a lot of excitement. And I love my Convergence. I absolutely love Axis, and I really want to play Axis a little bit more. But man, seeing Siege, it really made me excited. Was it a very different caster than I had imagined? Yeah, it is. I kind of hoped that he would have kept his having damage, because it was very much so in his original concept where he would break through things that were unbreakable. No matter what it was, he would be able to destroy it. And he doesn't have necessarily that aspect anymore. He kind of does with Fury, but he doesn't have that whole halving armor, which is what he used to in Siege 1. And I kind of hoped that there was something that he could have brought on for Siege 2 to kind of keep that.
Yeah, but unfortunately from a game mechanics perspective, you can't do that. Otherwise, you would never see Siege 1, and they're not about making models that obsolete the prior version.
No, and I agree with that. And that's why I'm I'm okay with it. But it's still, the caster is unique enough where I'm very excited by him, and if you go on, I was almost at the forums, but if you go on to the Cygnar Facebook page, you can get a lot of mixed reviews, and a lot of it is revolving around his feet right now. And one of the things that's interesting is at the bottom of the page, they used to have it. So hold on one second. Whenever the rules first came out, so the very first version of it, they had notes on previous versions of what was added and not added. So one thing was his at one point his feet had RAM. His feet granted RAM to something. Then his feat was changed. Then his feat was changed again, where it used to boost charge and assault attacks, and that feels a lot like Striker 3's. Mm-hmm. So then it was changed again. So it looks like literally all of last year, possibly they were testing Brisbane. It looks like earliest was February 5th of last year. And they were just going through it, and there was just a lot of different things that were doing. Like at one point, he had combat engineer and field marshal combat engineer, which is really cool because then everything would have been able to destroy siege stuff. But structures. It was, but then they removed that because obviously that was something that was probably way too powerful. So you can kind of see like a huge evolution of what it was, and his feat changed a lot. Within the past year, and that's been a lot of things where people have talked about where they're not sure if it's the best feat or not. Some people are claiming it's the worst feat that's out there. Other people claiming it's extremely good because of the versatility of the feat. It's not a standard feat that we've seen in Cygnar, where I feel like Cygnar's feats are generally very, very powerful. And this one, it kind of feels a lot more like Sturgis's, where it's not super powerful, but it adds a lot of maneuvering that we don't necessarily have in a lot of Cygnar options when it comes to feats.
Yeah, I get that, and it helps to provide. I think a lot of people miss out on feats when they're looking for, because it's like a lot of times people look at a feat and they're like, how does this trade me up? what can I put into this? What can I do with this feat that's going to allow me trade up my gameplay? And some of the feats are very carte blanche and explanation. And, you know, first shot you do, or first damage dice you do is armor pierced. Okay, well, I trade up because I'm going to put a lot of, you know, I'll play this for attrition or something like that. Or, you know, Haley's control feed or something like that, where it's like, okay, I'm going to use this to trade me up by getting me into a better scenario position, or trading me up to get more CPs. I think this is a feat where it's not as obvious how it's going to trade up. I think when you get people who are really, really savvy with Cygnar, they're going to be able to research it and get into it and optimize it to be more of a position feat. Like, I'm going to use this to put me into position so I can trade up, or my army can trade up. So it's merely a non-linear threat provider to the army. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times that non-linear threat puts people off guard. So you trade up by having, you know, like you said, was what, 16-inch threat?
Yep. Yeah, no, 15. 15-inch threat.
So 15-inch threat, of which 3 of it's non-linear.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's nice. So you can actually kind of move around. You know, actually, I would say even more than 3 of it's non-linear, because his jump pack, he can be placed anywhere within 5 inches.
That's true.
So it could be potentially 8 inches of non-linear movement.
So I think it's a situation where he's, shocker of all shocker statements, it's going to take time to unlock him, but I think savvy players could use it to their advantage to win them games. I don't think he's a horrible caster by any stretch of the imaginations.
And this thing's, I don't think he is either. I think he's very exciting. He's very different. You know, he has a stuff. He has Bound Leaf. He gives Trencher's desperate pace, so he's very much so in line where he wants to put with Trenchers. And it's nice because literally all these releases were Trencher-centric. But one thing I do want to touch on before I talk about the other Trenchers is Triumph. So Triumph was Siege's Warjack. And Mark II, he came out, he wasn't very good at all. Mark III, he came out. He gained a couple cool abilities. He could shoot during the maintenance phase. He gained magic attack. He had not true sight, but if he stood still, I think it was arcane precision. So if he stood still, he gained true sight. Very, very neat things, but he was very expensive. He was 20 points. And a lot of people would say to us, hey, if you were to change his arcane precision to true sight and drop him to 2 focus by 2 points on 18 points, he'd probably be absolutely amazing. And they did that, and they actually gave him some additional abilities. So his 2 extra things that he got, one, so he used to have an affinity with Siege, where if he was with Siege, he would his attacks would be AoEs. That no longer happens. Now, anytime he shoots, it's auto-boosted damage attacks. So that's pretty... Actually, I don't even think it's just shooting. I believe it's all attacks. Give me 1 second just to double-check that. While this model is bonded to Siege and control range, it gains boosted range attack damage rolls. So that's awesome. And he gains dual attack. So with dual attack, he can if he's in melee with you, he can hit you and he can shoot you. He can trample and shoot. If someone is engaging him, he can still shoot. It doesn't matter so much if one model is in his way anymore. So I really like that, because I think it's a lot of awesome changes with Siege. With Siege in general, because Triumph is really Siege's jack. I'm wondering if it might be too strong with Siege 1, because if I'm automatically getting a boosted damage, I don't even have to give Triumph any focus anymore, because I just want to he's going to automatically gain his 1 focus point to boost his attack roll. And then with Siege 1, armor is halved, and he's shooting a power plus strength 15 auto-boosted shot. So I don't know if that's too powerful. And rapid fire, so even during his maintenance phase, I believe he can, even during the maintenance phase, when he has his rapid fire shot, it's a boosted shot. So it's very strong.
It's strong, but let's be honest, even if he might be a little too over-tweaked for Siege 1, if he gets seen with Siege 1, that's 1 more caster than he's ever been seen with through most of Mark II and pretty much all of Mark III.
Hey. One of our first Cygnar games that went on the channel, I believe, sir, had Triumph and Siege 1 on it.
It did. How did that game go?
You know what? I blame Gaston. I was tired. It was a long day.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So
no.
I mean, it's a situation like I think it's good. I like the direction that they're taking the caster. I like the update to Triumph. I'm not sure how much the trencher abilities. I almost feel like the trencher bonus that he provides is a trap to put you into wanting to take trencher stuff. But we'll have to see how it plays out.
Yeah, I think it really benefits if you're going to be playing him in theme. Which, if you're going to play the trencher theme, it's really nice. Because not only do you have different Desperate Pace from him, you're also going to get Desperate Pace from Finn, if you have Finn out there. And then the other model, I believe there's one more model that gives Desperate Pace, and that is... No, he does not. Sorry. Arson Hitch, I thought gave Desperate Pace, but he doesn't. But... No, but I mean, that's true. So it might be a trap if you're not playing him in theme. But if you're playing in theme, I really think there's a good chance at times you're going to use it. It is a star action, so you're probably not going to use it all the time. But if you really need your trenchers to get up there, that'll definitely be helpful. Because with that and the feet, that gives them an additional 5 inches of movement.
Yeah.
So
we'll see.
Yep.
I'm not sold on that, but we'll see.
Yeah. So overall, like, I'm not going to go into all the detail about all of the trencher stuff, but there's a lot of good trencher things that came out. One of the ones that I'm most interested in, honestly, is the blockhouse, the structure that we saw pictures for before and we've seen the rules. I'm not sure about it yet because it's 14 points. It doesn't move at all. It only deploys 6 inches past your deployment zone, and it shoots one time. Which if you have the master gun, you can make it shoot an additional time. There's interesting things to it, but I'm not sure if a model that stays still is really that awesome.
What's the range of the gun?
Give me 1 second. The range of the gun is 15
inches.
15 inches.
15?
Yep.
I thought it was 14.
So they had an updated. It was one model week 1 version 2 came out. I don't know if it changed from the earlier one, but it's a range 15, power 15, AoE 4, and it's high explosive. So blast damage is a power 10, and it also has quake. So on a direct hit against enemy model, all models become knocked down.
So correct me what's its rat?
Its rat is 6,
and the AoE size?
The AoE is 4.
Okay, so. You have you have a structure that if you go second, you get to position to provide you the most benefit against your army's direct deployment. It's going to put you at the 16-inch line.
And also, it deploys trenches, so it's a trench network. So as long as the trenches are attached to it,
that's where you're going to maximize the benefit of deploying second and then seeing where your opponent's positioning. You can maximize your trench deployment. So it gets put on the 16-inch line. It reaches to the 31-inch line.
Yep.
And your opponent has a 7-inch deployment zone, so that's 38. So there's...
Don't forget its blast also has earthquake attached to it.
If it's a direct hit, it has to directly hit, but then all models are knocked down in it.
So there's 10 inches of your opponent's table that is not necessarily going to, and this is 10 inches in respect of the fact that its gun is going to have a radius range, not necessarily just a flat all the way out to the 38-inch range, or 38 inches away. So there's 10 inches between of playroom for your opponent. So yeah, I can definitely see where it might be a situation of this feels off. I'm almost kind of surprised that the 6-inch deploy line or the 6 inches extension wouldn't be something where it was like, I almost wonder if it's a scenario of if in the CID they do at 6 inches off the advanced deployment line. Is that too far?
So I think that would add a lot of issues because, I don't know. I feel like that would be too far. And my other issue with it is, yes, it's very far deployed, but with terrain being so heavy right now, I don't know if it's going to be super, super effective because, we're encouraged to put a ton of terrain in scenario play, all of that stuff. So I'm just not sure if a mobile structure.
I think it's 100% going to be effective merely from the perspective of between Rangers and because it's got an AoE, the Master Gunner can give it Artillerist.
Yeah.
You can go up to dial it up to like a Rat 11, I believe. Yeah,
So-
Rat 11.
It could go.
Also,
plus-
don't forget, you're missing a very important part of this. With it being in the Trencher CID, it gains the reload, so it can reload Grenadiers.
that's true.
That's nichey. That's not
And the
necessarily.
dogs.
I don't know if
Blockhouse
you-
and
I
patrol
don't know if you-
dogs.
I don't know if you're necessarily going to want to have a Grenadier that far back.
No, but the dogs do it too. The patrol dogs.
Yeah, well, yeah, there's going to be many a times where a dog's running around a Cygnar battlefield with a bombshell in its mouth. I'm just more like
That's why it's got the backpacks on it.
So, and did they say this can or cannot be sniped?
There's no reason why it couldn't be sniped.
Okay.
I don't see why it wouldn't be allowed to.
I'm scrolling the CID right now on Blockhouse stuff right now.
Also, what's up with Blockhouse and Brickhouse and what the hell's going on with all the housey house stuff?
They're just in a real big funk music phase.
It's true.
We're gonna have their next release is Grindhouse.
Yeah. Oh, that was a terrifying movie.
I mean, I part of me wants to see it a success. Unlike Gaston, I kind of like the concept of the structure. I like the fact that it's kind of a immobile battle engine. But I do agree that if it doesn't have the range to it, because it's got a radius threat, you're going to allow your opponent to kind of stand out of range. Now, obviously, close combat armies aren't going to do that because you can't stay. Well, theoretically, you could. You play scenario, you play on the back edge.
Yep.
But that
And
just
there is
means
no
that you're not
engaging it,
going
by
to
the
be-
way. Because even if you were to engage, you can still shoot. It is part of the rules
You
for
guys want to
the
hear something crazy?
what?
Siege's turret can aim.
That's awesome.
Sure. Please tell me they put in a rule that says the structures can't aim.
They cannot aim. No, they cannot aim.
I was like, how
They
the
cannot.
fuck does that work?
Yeah, no, they're not allowed to aim.
I don't know. Like, part of me wants to. I legitimately want to see a list where it's 2 blockhouses, and you've got these 6 trench works and all the terrain. Actually, you know what? No, now that I think about that, as a protectorate player, I don't want to see this because that's what 6 plus the standard 14 pieces of terrain that I barely have Pathfinder to get through. Although trenches,
Yeah,
don't
trenches they don't
Don't
cost.
forget the Blockhouse is FA too. As I said, I'm scrolling through stuff on the CID as we talk. The Blockhouse is FA too, and so you could basically since you could put down trenches, you could put 2 blockhouses like across from each other with trenches in between to put more heavy guns in the middle. So you would go from effectively having like 7, 8, 9 pieces of terrain on the table naturally to having like almost 11 or 14.
It's a lot of terrain. It's a lot of terrain. I wonder if it's too much terrain at that point. But I mean, we'll see. I know we got to wrap up because we do have a hard stop. And my sick child looks to be fussing a little bit. But I'm really excited. I know we're going to see more changes over the next couple days because this is only 2-week CID, and they're talking about pushing out a lot more updates. And I'm going to try to play this Saturday and possibly play next Friday. We'll see. I'm not positive yet. But
if it gets you out to play, then this CID is already a success.
Gaston and I have been talking. We're trying to see if maybe we can meet up for a quick game on Saturday, and then depending on if Jonathan Leclerc is playing on Fridays again next week, I might try to see if I can get a game with him as long as it's cool with me, having a trial tagging along. And then also Jason Hauser, right? Him and I are I'm trying to see if I can get some time set up to play with him.
You got a camera, right?
Of course I have a camera, but I don't know if we want to put a CID on camera.
Oh.
So
see,
I know. Hey man, if you give me the thumbs up, I'll put proxy models and I'll put a CID on camera.
I'm not comfortable with that.
But the last thing, and I know we're wrapping up, but what I'm really excited about is it was also revealed that we're going to have a Trencher Army box, and I want to know what it is. And I'm God, if it comes out in July, at lock and load, I will pee myself.
Well,
I don't think it will because I think that's way too early.
You don't have access to it. If it comes out at lock and load, you don't have any access to it, so you can pee yourself all you want. It doesn't mean you're getting.
I believe I have a very good friend that...
That's where you're mistaken.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you're right. I am mistaken. What?
As a joke's on you, fucker.
Yes, as a dick. I believe there is someone out there that will help me out. God damn it.
Nobody helped them out.
But no, because if so, there's some models and there's, depending on what the model composition is, there's some stuff in there I would really like to see put on the table.
I guess the only thing that I want to kind of leave with is, do we think that the trencher theme is it really going to shake up the meta? Because my knee jerk is not. Like, it'll be its own little problem, but I don't see it addressing some of the issues that are being seen in the meta right now, like heavy jack spams or ghost fleet or anything like that. Is that going to be something that is it going to solve anything, or are we just adding another list to the problem?
So
I think something is interesting is that one thing I've noticed, and I'm going to mention the another company, is that I've noticed that both recently that both Games Workshop and Privateer Press have been doing a lot of like very similar marketing techniques, a lot of live stuff, getting in touch with the community. One thing I've noticed that I always said about Games Workshop that Privateer Press currently doesn't do is that when, you know, with Games Workshop, some of their newest bundles, they'll do like a very theme-specific bundle, you know, Corn Bloodthirster bundle. And it's something a lot of people who play Games Workshop has said they've really enjoyed is that, hey, I wanted to get into this. This kind of gives me all the stuff I kind of wanted to kind of aim towards this kind of list. And now when Tony mentions this box, I see that very much being something that people who played another game really appreciated. So that's one thing where I don't think maybe the list might be as super strong, you know, because I haven't played it yet. But I definitely see like a lot of business marketing potential in that.
Awesome. All right. So, yeah, so we're going to leave that question up to you guys because I have my opinions on it, but I want to hear what the community says. And I think probably next cast we'll probably circle back around and talk about it. Most likely next week we'll talk a little bit more about some CID stuff, depending on if I got some games in or not. But, guys, with that being said, you got anything else?
Nope, not from my end. Get out and play games.
All right, guys. I want to thank you guys for listening to another episode of Turn Extension.
Have a good night.
Bye, everybody.